Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting me. And all the links are in the description of this video. That helps me keep the lights on and fed and goodness sakes. Another way you can help me is by checking out my website, AllyKatzkreations211.com. The link is on the YouTube channel. I got cool skulls and different types of pyramids. It's only lit up neon because I have my neon lights on. I have lots of pyramids down there and artwork. I just got commissioned to do a doggy portrait. Go check out all my stuff on my website. And if you're interested in any of that, email me because I do everything privately. Before I begin, we're doing personal survival. I just started work. Yeah. So it's gonna be a while until I get paid. But unbeknownst to me, because the communication lacks bigly in my little department, and didn't know that there was a dress code. Obviously, I dress professional, but comfortable because I'm dealing with autistic children and running after them and boogers and drool and all that fun stuff. And then I got notified that you can't, the jean thing is okay because I wear nice jeans. I don't wear holes and rips and nasty clothes. I wear really nice clothes. But I was told I have to get slacks or comfy professional. So I had to go to the store earlier. I would have had this up by now. And doing everything else that I do for everybody. Yay. I didn't think personal survival was going to go in the paranormal route, but it makes sense, but it is a necessary thing. Because the time that is now, in the now moment, there are so many people in fear of the passing away stage of the meat suit and death, which we got to kind of stop and detach from things, people, places, things, objects, all kinds of fun stuff, because your journey is yours alone to take, and you're one with anything, with all things anyway. You are. Sorry. Watch Powder if you don't believe me. Listen to Bashar. And so many other people say the same damn thing. We are one. When you understand it and feel it go within and feel it and know it for yourself, a lot of what they're talking about is just preparing you for the bigger understanding of what it is to move forward. And this is kind of like a buffer for those skeptics out there that, I know my makeup is wonky. I do apologize because it's bothering me. I'm looking at myself. It gives a buffer zone for people who can't, it's not their time to go within and feel it, know it, to emote it out. So this is like a great in-between way of trying to seed somebody, like, you're not really dead. Stop thinking that everything is separate from yourself because you are one. It's harder said than done. I am working with fantastic people, but their energy levels are holy wonkadoodle shit. And I have a hard time. It's not that I'm not being my authentic self, because trust me, I have to be compassionate and walk with grace with a lot of what I'm being thrown at energy wise, and that's not upon the conversations that people have to try, like, get out to me. If they only knew what house I lived in and saw what was in front. Oh, my teacher would be really upset. But she's a sweetheart and she has her heart in the right place. But her perception is a little, and it's funny, before I begin, a lot of them are like, "Hi, are you into astrology? I do oracle cards." Yeah, I'm very different if you haven't noticed. I didn't unleash what the hell I am yet to them. A lot of people are very still brainwashed, and a lot of sheltering has taken place, and I got to be very cautious with what I am allowed to dole out and whatnot, and it's not time yet. So, other physical phenomena. Do 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 do. I had to, sorry. Um, I don't know if there's going to be pictures with this one, but I hopefully share screen, and it showed the pictures that were there, of ectoplasm, and like physical pictures of people showing up and things that don't belong in the picture. There's a lot of channels, paranormal groups who could show you the proof. A lot of them are on Facebook doing it solo. They don't need a travel channel contract to get views. I know people watch a lot of that stuff and very interested. I have a lot of ghost hunting stuff myself. Um, because sometimes I can't tap, I'm not allowed to tap in, or for whatever the reason, those abilities don't come out all the time. Certain times, yes. But anywho, there are other physical phenomena which we will talk about in this chapter, which add their testimony and assurance to the great accumulation of proof of personal survival of what we call death. Apports. Apports is a term applied to objects which, through psychic power, are phenomenally brought into the presence of a materializing medium, thereby establishing the fact of the passage of matter through matter. Since the doors and windows of the seance room are usually locked and sealed, these apports embrace a wide variety of articles, the most common of which are flowers, semi-precious stones, cut and uncut, and coins, ancient and modern. Other objects are clay tablets bearing cuneiform inscriptions from excavations at ancient Babylon, Indian blankets, tomahawks, human scalp locks, and even human beings. Pause. I happen to know a few people who have manifested gems. In this modern age. I haven't witnessed it myself, but I don't doubt them. I have seen lots of things manifest and disappear as well. We all have sock gnomes and trolls, and you put something down and it disappears. Oh, that's not necessarily you forgetting where you put something. That could be a spirit playing with you. So don't disregard that stuff either. They're in the spiritualism early 1900s era, right, when this whole thing started in America. So just understand where they're coming from. I believe certain things can manifest if you put will and intention to focus on it, and it materializes. And some people have more of a magnetic draw and pull in their energy than others. Yeah. Charles Bailey, who specialized in materializing living objects, supported such things as crabs, turtles, a 30-inch live snake, a 10-inch baby shark, and a nest full of birds, with the mother bird still on it. The nest and mother bird were later apported back once they came. Live birds are often felt flying about in the darkened room, the most common ones being doves and jungle sparrows. Tropical birds are often caught or often brought in cages. Oh, there are pictures. Hang on. I don't know what section this comes from. Of course, Zoom moves all the features for me. So we have ivy plant apported July 15th, 1928 at Millamismo Castle. There's a flamingo and it looks like a monk and maybe a brooch, maybe a stone. Okay. We'll find out what those are. Probably the most common apport is flowers, often in the midst of winter. A famous medium, Mrs. Grumpy, once materialized bows of orange blossoms and an armful of flowers with more than 40 live butterflies on them. She also materialized a block of ice a foot square and many other objects too numerous to mention. Alfred Russel Wallace once requested her to obtain a sunflower for him. In less than 5 minutes, a sunflower 7 feet tall and with a large amount of earth clinging to its roots was deposited on the table. At a seance of Marjorie in Boston, her brother Walter was asked to obtain a living flower. In a few minutes, a golden lily 6 feet tall containing 7 large blossoms was placed on the table. The scent of the flowers was almost overwhelming. Upon turning on the lights, the stem of the lily was found to pass through a hole in a large piece of mummy cloth, which was still redolent of the odor of the spices. 7 days later, when the lily mysteriously disappeared, the piece of mummy cloth was left behind, still with the hole through which the stem passed, but with no tear or slit in through which the stem might have slipped. I spilled some on me. I got lemonade. The Bing sisters were mediums in whose seance apports flowers were received, objects disappeared, and chemical changes were effected, such as turning ink into dirty water. At a sports, when the materialized objects called apports are phenomenally removed from the presence of the medium, they are called sports. Sports often form part of a demonstration of apport phenomena. In one of the Millamismo seances with the Marquis, Centurion, Scotto, and Madame Fabian Rossi, the members of the circle were tapped by a little parchment drum, and Madame Rossi and other sitter felt their hands squeezed by 2 iron mittens. At the conclusion of the seance, these articles were no longer found in the room, but were found in respective places from which they had been apported. Transports. When the materialized objects, often human beings, are carried from one place to another through closed doors and over a distance, the phenomena are called transports. There are too many thoroughly investigated and authenticated cases of the transportation of human beings to more than mentioned here, so we will cite briefly only the most outstanding cases. One of the most astonishing of such cases is that of the celebrated Italian materializing medium, Marquis Centurion Scott of Millamismo Castle, however you pronounce that, whom we have mentioned above. During the course of the sitting, the Marquis was heard to exclaim in a frightened voice, "I can no longer feel my legs." Someone spoke to him, and receiving no answer, the red light was turned on, and he was found to be missing from his chair in the seance room. Although the door was locked and sealed, the key was in the lock on the inside. After several hours of frantic search, a spirit message through automatic writing said that he could be found in a hay mow in the granary in the stable yard nearly 100 yards away from the seance room. There he was found in a deep sleep and was as much astonished and alarmed as anyone on realizing his strange position. To reach this position normally, he would have to have passed through 3 doors, which were all found to be locked from the outside. Another case is that Mr. Frank Hearn, who was transported from his seat in a London theater and dropped into a seance room at the Hackney, London, several miles distant from the theater. Later, his overcoat, hat, and umbrella were dropped on the table in the same room. The record of Mrs. Grumpy, one of the biggest women in London, is probably the best corroborated. At the request of one of the sitters in a private seance, Katie King, one of the spirit guides, said she would bring her into the seance room. Within 4 minutes, there was Mrs. Grumpy in their midst, and much embarrassed at appearing in company in a loose morning gown and bedroom slippers. She had been at her desk making up her household accounts and was brought to the seance with the pen still in her hand and the inkwell on it. The seance room was more than 3 miles from her home, and yet she was transported within 4 minutes. Another remarkable instance was the case of William Ellington, who was transported up through the ceiling and was found on the floor in the room above. In another case, 3 children of Senior Buenaventura Corrales frequently vanished from the seance room, found themselves in the garden, and were returned to their great delight in the same mysterious manner. Although the doors were locked in each case, upon search for them, they were always found outside the seance room, usually talking and laughing over their adventure. In the case of 2 Italian boys, Alfred and Paul Passini, they experienced mysterious transportation in half an hour from Ruvo to Molfetta, and again from Mulvo to a boat on the sea. In another instance, Dr. Joseph Lapani tells of the flying brothers of Nari, who could transfer themselves over a distance of 45 kilometers in 15 minutes. According to the Bible, these levitations are no new phenomenon. In Ezekiel 11:1, moreover, the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the east gate of the Lord's house, which looked eastward. End quote. Habakkuk was carried from Judah to Babylon and to bring food to Daniel in the lion's den, and then carried back to Judah through the air. In the Acts of the Apostles, the warders of St. Peter's prison testified, the prison house we found shut in all safety and the keeper standing before the doors, but when opened, we found no man within. St. Philip baptized the Ethiopian, and when they were come up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord caught away Philip, and the eunuch saw him no more. But Philip was found at Axitus. Thus was a distance of some 30 miles from Gaza, the scene of the baptism. As we have pointed out elsewhere, the aged Simeon was apported into the temple in Jerusalem so he could meet Jesus before he died, as was promised by the Lord, St. Luke 11:26-7. How it is done. As to how appropriation, asportation, and transportation are accomplished, it must be assumed that there is a hitherto unknown or fourth aspect of matter, or an atomic or fluid condition in which there is a greater malleability of matter that has been formerly unknown. Both through experiment and through the report of spirit guides, it has been found that through psychic forces, the physical object is dematerialized, transported to the desired spot, and then rematerialized. This conclusion is borne out by the fact that the thermodynamic force required to dematerialize the object is released when it is rematerialized. In the case of a metallic object in stones, this process often makes the object too hot to be handled until it is cooled off. In the case of living beings, there must be some other factor involved, as they do not experience this phenomenon of superheating, and yet they have been dematerialized. This is testified by the alarm felt by the Marquis Scotto when he felt his legs and found them dematerialized just before he went into a deep trance. Another case, and most remarkable one of transport, is told in the 100 Cases of Survival After Death, Bard, page 209. We quote, Dr. Paul Gilbler, an eminent psychologist and director of the Pasteur Institute of New York, had a very decisive experience with Mrs. Salmon. He experimented in his own laboratory using an iron cage, especially made in his instructions, with the door closing by a lock. Mrs. Salmon was placed in the cage, the door locked, the key put in his pocket, and a stamped paper gummed over the lock. A very short time after the lights were extinguished, hands, arms, and living forms came out of the cage. A man, a woman, more often a lively little girl. Suddenly, Mrs. Salmon emerged from the cage and fell half fainting on the floor. The seals were found intact and the door had not been opened. A remarkable case was the dematerialization and transportation of Charles Victor Miller at a seance in San Francisco in the presence of 27 persons. Mr. Miller was uported through the enclosed walls of a seance room and found later, still in trance, on the second floor. This was done under strictly test conditions. Sorry for the pause, guys. Hi, everybody. I'm Odin, and I like to step on my mom's stuff, including my phone. I like my mommy, but I had to jump. There goes my. So Odin jumped on my desk, and then he blocked. I saw him doing the jump, and I paused because he was behind me, and then he jumped, and then he covered up the screen, and then he was trying to step on my keyboard. He's such a mommy's boy. Love my baby, but my goodness. Anywho, sorry about that. Can't do anything anyway if a cat's in my way, blocking my view. Right, mister? Say hi, everybody. Levitation. I'm still trying to get myself to levitate. Hard. This phenomenon is the familiar one of the lifting of human beings or of objects into the air, contrary to the laws of gravitation and without any visible agency. Levitation is transportation in its highest form, and many instances of it are recorded in the Bible. In both the Old and New Testament, the record of Jesus walking on water, Matthew 14:24-7, is a splendid illustration that many of the saints and other highly intelligent beings accomplish the same feat in the record fact. Levitation is not confined to the seance room, but has been demonstrated in broad daylight, and in many authentic cases have been reported of the lifting of tables, chairs, and human beings in the halls and homes. These latter are very numerous, and we cite a few of the best authenticated ones. Before a very large assembly in a lighted hall, the medium Henry C. Hall was lifted into the air and floated over the seats for several minutes, and then sank back slowly to the floor. 3 witnesses, the Earl of Dunraven, Lord Lindsay, and Captain Wynne, reported that they saw the medium DD home float out through the third-story window of the room and float in through a window of another room. Upon investigation, no ledge or other support on which the body could have rested could be founded. The spectators all agree that the light in the room was sufficient for them to have detected anything outside aid which might have been given. All three were ready to swear to the fact of his having gone out of the window of one room and having floated in through the window of another room without the visible aid. Holm experienced many other instances of levitation and was not always in trance when they occurred. He wrote of his experiences that he could feel no hands supporting him at any time, that he felt no sense of fear, even when he was levitated to a great height. There are many instances of levitation of objects, small and large, that there is no necessity of mentioning any of them here. Tables and chairs, even pianos, are moved and levitated into the air at seances, and before the astonished eyes, even the most skeptical in ordinary rooms in broad daylight and under the strictest test conditions. In most cases, even the most rigid investigations have failed to show that levitation of these objects could be accomplished by any other means than through the work of a disincarnate spirit. Ha ha. I live, I want to say 20 to a half hour away from the demon house that happens to be in Gary, Indiana. Another reason why I'm here. There's a lot of bad energy around here that I'm transmuting. But if you're interested in finding something modern and current, that's one of the best examples I can give, where a kid was levitated and cops and social workers saw it. Like, there was no lying. So there is a lot of testimony, but there are a lot of modern age things you can look up. The Demon House in Gary, Indiana is one of them. That people like, are you kidding me? A kid's walking on the walls. Like, how the hell did he get up there? Ceilings. And this next one, I want to see where it goes. It's about poltergeists. I'll give you a little insight now before I read. Poltergeists are manifest PKE or EP. I don't know the terminology. It PK manifestations. It's our energy that creates a lot of this shit. So let me see something. Hang on. I didn't find what I wanted to show. I'm pissed. Sorry, guys. There was a picture of a PK manifestation that I don't know. I guess it was wiped off the internet. Poltergeists can be created from yourself, from your energy, the gunk, the crap that you expand and give off in your field can create a thought form. These can manifest in shadow figures, in nasty spidery things, mists. There's a lot of things. If there's a lot of people in the house who are very angry, who it's like teenage angst shit, that can elevate and feed this being that you created, or a child or a teenager created. And it could come up against being a poltergeist, where your cabinets are opening, things are flying across the room. Not all poltergeists are bad. Some some entities just want your attention. They're like, hi, and they'll drop something off your mantle or flip a picture or whatever the case. In other aspects, it's very scary. And there's a lot of videos you can find on TikTok about poltergeist, but there was a picture in particular that popped in my mind. Can't find it. So, poltergeist. The phenomena of poltergeist is a combination of levitation and appropriation. This term is applied to the physical phenomenon, which includes loud raps, poundings, rattling noises, pranks, such as any mischievous child might indulge in. It is applied especially when physical objects are hurled through the air in broad daylight, often with seeming, like page, vicious intent. In very extreme cases of this phenomenon, investigating police have been driven from the home by the force of such flying objects. Those who manifest poltergeists seem also to take delight in such brutalities as the breaking of a crockery, the throwing about of furniture, and materializing of carrots or coal in the drawing room. Some cases of this phenomenon are herein given. The Epworth phenomena. These disturbances occurred at the vicarage of the Reverend Samuel Wesley, father of John Wesley, the founder of of Methodism, and were attested to by the whole Wesley family, all of whom were decidedly psychic. These phenomena, lasting over a period of more than 2 months, include loud knocks, poundings, the sound of a board being planed as if by a carpenter, the sound of crashing china in the cabinet where no china was found broken, and the sound of many people trampling up and down the stairs where heavy shoes. The two men attributed these persecutions to the devil, but Miss Wesley and her daughter claimed that they were due to her brother, old Geoffrey, who had passed away in India some years previous to the disturbances. It is said that for some time, visitors were shown large blotches of ink on the wall of John Wesley's study, where he had thrown an ink bottle at a persecuting devil. I'm going to tell you what I think of this. Why not, Allison? That's trapped energy. That's not a poltergeist. That is old energy that is stuck in materialized form. So when you're walking into an old house, you're going to hear a lot of noises. You're going to, the house settles and things do creak and pound. But if you're hearing it like knock, 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 there could be stagnatized energy stuck from a previous encounter that keeps playing, and it's a perpetuating loop until you clean and cleanse your space. It's old energy. That's not new energy. A poltergeist has intent. A lot of what I just read doesn't sound like there's an intent. It's just a replaying of old events that happened. The energy got captured in materialized form. Usually wood does that, and that energy can keep replaying. The case of the Joller family in Stan, Switzerland gives us a more convincing and formidable array of evidence of this phenomenon. In the home of M. Joller, a prominent lawyer and a man of splendid character, a series of disturbances broke out, such as loud knocks, sounds of sobbing, and the opening of a window and doors by visible hands. Cupboard drawers were pulled out and left in disorderly fashion, and the family were annoyed by strange gray shapes. That's a poltergeist. Roaming about the house. These manifestations continued over a long period and were witnessed by many persons other than the family persons who, hearing of the strange phenomena, were attracted to the home. Many of these prominent people, such as the director of police and the president of the Court of Justice, stands. The strange happenings went on outside the house as well as inside and in broad daylight, which preclude the possibility of fraud. There seemed no way of overcoming these strange and uncomfortable happenings until M. Joler and his family were forced to vacate the home and find another living quarter. Poltergeists usually take place where there is a sensitive child in the family, especially when there is a young girl who is starting and entering puberty. But it is not definitely known whether this condition is a causative factor or merely a coincidence. The phenomena are largely attributed to disembodied mischievous children who delight to tease, or to low-grade morons who desire thus to plague their superiors and take these methods of attracting attention to themselves. I won't do the next one because it's letters from hell. But I will talk a little bit more about the poltergeists. When I say children and teens, what you got to rationally think about what's going on in a teen and young children. A lot of hormones, a lot of emotional states. They're not fully developed yet as human beings, mentally, maturely, and they are giving off an exponential amount of energy. They are so in it to win a chicken dinner with their emotions. It is incredible. And take a child who has a disability, like the children that I'm working with, they're even more heightened in emotional states because they are frustrated because no one can understand what they're trying to convey. So they get angry. And whatever entity is now thus being materialized is feeding off of those emotional states. Children are giving that off exponentially, especially pubescent females. It's a roller coaster. I was there. Hi. Not to say that males don't do it either. They do. Absolutely. Females, though, more draw that energy for whatever the reason is. But it's hormonal changes, and it's the emotional states of those hormonal changes that make that happen. And it's your energy field interacting with the astral field. Thoughts create things. So an adult can create the devil or a demon or a negative energy because they're thinking about it and manifests. Now the child in the home is feeding it juice, loosh. And then you're going to get crazy shit happening in your house. Since I have now Odin and Freya, Kitty, whatever entity was putting on my LED lights, even though it is perfectly fine, they can just pay my electric bill. You can hear me. They're not evil. They're not a manifestation from me. It's just a traveling entity that needs help. And I've been trying to figure out like different methods because that's not my expertise. I'm not a medium in that regard. I don't go into houses like Amy Allen and tell you what happened. She could pick up on that stuff. I'm more of a clear conduit channel, and I'm a mental medium. So I get messages. I don't necessarily have a full combo with spirit, like from another person. I can talk to my parents if need be. That's though very draining and very hard for me to get clarity with them. But there are people out there with that gift that can talk to the dead. Not dead in terms of this meat suit passing away. They're talking to the energy, and they could pick up on those who have made the ascension. And those are the mediums that can pick up on that stuff more. But I've watched Dead Files. I love Dead Files. It's good for skeptics. Watch it. I don't know what channel it's on anymore, but I know it has replays on have YouTube, no, Amazon, the Fire Stick thing. One of those things. It's there. Go find it. Very intriguing. Amy Allen is valid. I believe her all about her gifts, and she picks up a lot of PK manifestations, which are poltergeists for the most part. The things that you could do in your home if you're experiencing any of these things, like for myself, when that spirit likes to put on the LED lights when I'm not home, and I come home and I'm like, why is my living room blue? Because I have them set to blue. Like, they love the lights, and I'm okay with them loving the lights. Doesn't bother me. It bothers my electric bill. That's about it. But since the cats are here, I haven't had activity. Cats have a way of protecting you. That's why it was very necessary for me to have animals in the house. And I gave some time for Morgan to pass over, but it's not enough to get sage. I know I have sage around here somewhere. I have it everywhere. I have gems all over my house. There's not, I don't think, one room without gems. I have them everywhere. I have certain gems at the door to absorb any negative energy. I have gems like down here is like higher energy than upstairs, because I have my pyramid, Freya. My pyramid is not welded or put together correctly. It fell. I have to put it back up. I have to figure it out. But down here has a lot more energy than does upstairs in gem wise, because this is where I work with all the pyramids and everything. If you need to clear your house, it's all about your will, the words that are coming out of your mouth, and your intention from your heart space, not from your head, because you could tell anything to get the F out. You have to mean it, and you have to stick to your boundaries. I don't kick anything of the light out. There are spirits that do travel through here that want to get my attention and move shit or drop shit or make noise. Doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid. And I usually then will sit in meditation and create a vortex and send them back up with the angels. I sage my house once a month, but sometimes I sage all the time. It depends how I feel. I sometimes need to clear myself a lot. I take salt baths. Maybe it's just you. I have black salt. Once a month, I go outside and I throw some black salt around my property, the perimeter of my property. These are not hard things to do. People use frankincense and myrrh. Some use tar water. Some use Florida water. Whatever it is at your disposal, even if you have nothing. Clear intention. This is my house now. You need to get out. You're not allowed to X, Y, and Z. Because some spirits are attached as what, this property, this land, it might have been Native American, it might have been ancestral, it might have been whatever the case. We don't know, as people that just buy a house or come on the land. When I first moved in, I had a lot of clearing to do. And I still continuously have to. That's why little Thor came. He's protecting me from outside forces that want in bad because of my light. And I don't doubt that many of you are in the same position. Find a modality that works for you, because I got this the other day. We're still in 3D, 4D, 3D. It's a little tiny octave above, okay? 3 and 4 are very similar. How things are playing out, how we experiencing this matrix, how we go about things. So we still have to play by the chess game rules that are here laid out for us. So as much as I'm already transcended this whole negative, positive energy thing, I'm in balance. That does not mean it doesn't exist and that it can't still affect you in some way. Maybe less, but you should always be putting up your shield, whatever your bubble, and moving about your house, lighting some candles, lighting some incense, lighting some sage. And if you are allergic to sage or the spray, you know, I have spray, Palo Santo spray. I spray mist. I did it when I worked in Manhattan because of all the energy there. Like, and it works. Play binaural beats, play things, do whatever it is that your heart calls to do. If you feel that there is something that is bothering you or that is happening in your abode, your hovel, just be aware that these things still have power if you feed it power and give it power. There is, even though you are clear and you're doing the work, doesn't mean that your surrounding area, people aren't feeding what is already evolving and walking around. Okay, remember, we're in a matrix and it's overlaid. There's overlapping. So just because you don't feed it, you don't believe it, or you're just not giving it energy, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean that other people are feeding it, that it can't eventually come to affect you in whatever way that it is. And that's where I stand, because I don't feed any of this anymore. But I believe that it still occurs. And I have testimony because I can walk in my house and my light, I don't put my LED lights on ever because I don't have guests. I don't have anybody staying in my house that need extra light. I have cats that can see in the dark. So why do I need lights on, LED party lights on? I don't. So when they come on, I know something's here and they need my help. I'm not going to ignore it. But that can come in good or bad, because we're still playing by chess game rules. We're still overlaid in lots of dimensional spaces and frequency and densities. So as much as you're not feeding into it, like everybody else around you in your surrounding area does. You can't get rid of your other selves. They're a part of the game. So just take that into account. I do a lot of these modalities myself just to keep my peace of mind and to clear the bacteria out of the air. It has good purposes. And makes your house smell nice. I know a lot of people can't stand it, but it's useful. So guys, sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Please be the lighthouse to shine in the dark crevasses that are in this world. Please be a physical shoulder for somebody to lean on, because there are going to be a lot more people in the next couple of months that are going to need your shoulder. Even if it's just a shoulder and a hug. Please seed your truths. I'm doing that now, casually, carefully, very carefully. But seed, because a lot of people still sleepy. And make sure you're making the most of every day. Be the ray of sunlight. And he's plopped out. I love it. And his fur is finally growing back. He's not anxious anymore. Makes me happy. So guys, sending you all my light, my love, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you for your likes and subscribes and sharing and caring, and thank you for your support. I really appreciate it from everybody that listens to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until the next one, guys, bye for now.